So let's get started. Welcome. Thanks for coming out, and I'm really glad to be here. The capital structure of Aben is right there. It's 78 million issued and outstanding. Fully diluted is about 101 million. We've got about 2 sets of warrants from previous financings. That's about all that's left to be taken down, and they're at like 17 and 25 cents. So the graph kind of tells a lot of what it's like in the Golden Triangle in the summertime. It tends to get pretty frothy up there. The time to buy this stock is now, before we get started. You can see right now it's starting to move up. It's getting ready for drilling. So we are getting ready to start drilling. Last year we started late. This year we're starting early. Last year I think we finally got rolling about the beginning of August. This year we're going to be drilling in a few weeks, early to mid-July, or June, sorry. That way we get a turnaround on the assays quicker. We've done enough last year to know where to start drilling this year and to carry on where we had success. And we want to get assays in early and get them turned around early. And you saw, I don't know if you know who all follows the Golden Triangle, but last year GT Gold had a really good start. They got their assays in early, they started early, and they got results out, and they were greatly rewarded by the market. The investment highlights, basically, Aben's got 3 projects on the go. They all have a lot of historic information that we've accumulated, done data compilation studies on all of them. They're all in Western Canada, good jurisdiction to operate in. Our flagship is the Forrest Kerr in the Golden Triangle. We've also got a property in the Yukon called the Justin, and we've got a property in Saskatchewan called Chico. We've got, like I said, a lot of data on all these properties. So when you go out and you're doing early stage exploration, it's nice to have the data available that you can turn around and look at it with maybe a different set of eyes, and then move forward with possibly a different approach. Possibly you see something that was missed. Management team. We've got a good track record, I think. We've got some pretty good people on side that really know the Golden Triangle. The chairman's Ron Nedalitsky. Many of you know he's also involved in Skeena. He's a very, as a fella to fall back on for advice and knowledge in this area, I don't think there's anybody better. Tim Termundi started his career with Ron at SNP. And he's operated in BC and Saskatchewan pretty much his whole career. Cornell is running the program for him. The last project he worked on was a copper deposit just south of Smithers for Gold Reach, 130,000 meters of drilling. He ran that program and did a really good job. Mike Roberts and Henry Omack on the advisory team, they come with the previous ownership of the properties that we acquired. And in essence, there's probably close to around 100 years of knowledge just in the Triangle. The region, I don't know if there's not a lot to explain here. We all know it. It's a very high-grade region, unlike pretty much anything in the world. SNP and Eskay, Ron was involved in the discovery of those, and Eskay Creek at the time was one of the highest grade mines in the world. You've got a lot of past producers. You've got a lot of projects under development and are sort of on hold. KSM could well be one of the biggest copper deposits on Earth. Galore Creek, it's on hold. There's a lot that's been found there, and there's a lot more coming out. In terms of new discoveries, well, I think GT Gold's onto something, and I think Garibaldi surprised everybody last year. This year, I think there'll be more money spent up there. Last year, there was about 100 million spent. About 40% of BC's exploration budget was here. And one of the reasons is the access has changed. We can get there easier. In the old days, it was fly in, fixed wing, pretty, very difficult, very expensive. Now we can drive right in. Why did we choose the property we got, that we assembled? Tim and I basically said, let's get something based on really good structure, really good lithology, et cetera, et cetera. And so we approached the 3 claim groups, owners. The pink one there is Kiska owned it. It's now owned by Centerra. The middle one is owned by a geologist named Carl Van Eisendeel, and the green is the Forrest property is owned by the Equity Group. We assembled it. We got everybody convinced that we would move forward with it as new operators and look at it on a regional scale instead of property by property. The Kerr fault runs right up the whole length. The property's 50 kilometers long. That fault is a major conductor for a lot of activity that's happening geologically in the region. In order to assemble it all, we will issue over 4 years 7 million shares, but we're spending $3 million in the ground throughout the whole property. That's over 4 years. We're almost there in terms of spending in 2 years. And I think, and at the end of the day, we get 100%. It's a good deal. Why did we choose this? Well, the common themes for deposits in the Golden Triangle are lithology, a driver, and structure. We've got all of that here. The main key is the Kerr fault. It's the structure that is creating the driving forces of fluids into the area. The host lithology, the important words there is Hazelton and Stuhini. You want to be near or on that contact. We are. That gives us a very good advantage in the exploration phase. This gives you an idea. You can see on the left-hand picture, that's the fault running right up the middle. What we've done is mapped all these cross-cutting splays, structures, subfaults off the main Kerr fault. And that red stripe is this new horizon we now know is very important, which is the contact between the Hazelton and Stuhini. There's very few, well, probably one discovery that's been outside of that zone. You need to be near that contact, and you need to have a major structure within 2 kilometers. That seems to be the key in the area. Knowing that, it gives us a real advantage for discovery. This is going to be, it's a very active hydrothermal environment with a lot of targets. The project, as a new look, you've got the advantage now of all this infrastructure that's available to us in terms of access in. The north end of our property, we can come in through the Galore Creek Road, the south end through the McClymont Road, and then off to the east is the main highway where we'll be camping this year by the, there's an airstrip right off the highway with trailers and that, and it's going to give us an advantage helicopter-wise with a shorter distance to fly to get into where we're going to work. As I mentioned, one of the new things to look at is this relationship between the contact of the Stuhini and Hazelton and the Forrest Kerr. I can't read it, but if you can read it, you can see that it's a fairly new theory that the government, the Geologic Survey has put together to show where the discoveries are. And you got to be within 2 kilometers basically of this Hazelton-Stuhini contact with a major fault type of structure. Boom. You've got an environment that's rich. And for our case, we're looking for hydrothermal systems rather than the VMS style Eskay Creek. It's more along the Pretium lines. Going forward, we've got an area that we're going to drill. We had success last year. The holes 4, 5, and 6, we drilled 9 holes last year. Hole 4, 5, and 6 turned out to be extremely good. It was a good discovery. It's a very broad zone, very rich, and we're going back in there to start this year to do a few step outs. It's open in pretty much all directions. Well, and we're going to basically, you can see the directions we're going to go in. It's a zone that has to be followed up on. It's every bit as rich as anything, say, GT had found. And it's rich in copper, et cetera. And they're broad. These zones are very broad and have a very high-grade core. I'm counting down here. The area we're in, these look like slugs, but those are very large geochemical anomalies that we're following. The circles are where we're drilling. Our intention is to stay where we are, hammer it, get results into the lab early, get them turned around, and get them out into the public. we're going to be doing this. There's a fairly high degree of confidence here. And as you can see, as we go south, we would eventually hit this zone here, which we will end up at this year. Towards the end of the season, we're going to drill this. It's a target that screams, drill me, please. So that's what we're going to do. And these are the other two projects. One in the Yukon. We will be doing a little bit of work in the Yukon this year. That news release will come out later. And the Chico, we did some work. We got set up to do some work, and we had a little pushback from the natives, so we're sitting down in consultations with them right now. Thanks.
How was that?